months, I've been asked, when will it be safe finally to own these cruise stocks again? Now, people love these. And for months, I've told you to hold your horses. I think the cruise lines can eventually recover. They're well run. They've raised a lot of money. Their bookings for next year look pretty darn good, assuming they're allowed to operate. But I've been adamant that speculating in these stocks could be premature. Doesn't matter that they're great. Carnival or Royal Caribbean or Norwegian might be. I mean, the truth is that right now, they're not allowed to set sail because of the pandemic. Hey, call me crazy. But I'm reluctant to recommend anything that's legally barred from doing its business. Why would you want to own stock in a company that can't operate? Until they can safely set sail, there's just not much they can do. On the other hand, there's always something that can go wrong. I mean, look at what happened today. After a big run over the last few weeks, driven by just voracious young people buying, Royal Caribbean took advantage of the appetite for its stock and announced a $500 million secondary offering coupled with a $500 million private offering of senior convertible notes. In response, the stock just got eviscerated. It ended up plummeting 9%, $9 or 13%. And the negative pin action crushed the entire group. I said, what did you expect? The cruise lines need money. If you bid their stocks up, as many younger, less informed investors keep on doing, they're bound to issue new equity. They're going to stuff you. They can't afford to pass up that opportunity, which in a more discerning market would never even be given them a chance to do so. However, now that the group is sold off, I think it's actually worth revisiting the cruise lines. I'm not ready to recommend them. But despite the fits and starts we had lately with these the trials, AstraZeneca, then J&J, we are getting closer and closer, step by step, inch by inch, to a COVID vaccine. And we've already got a lot more testing. So I want to explain what happens, or at least what needs to happen, before these stocks will be worth buying. First, though, let's go over the basics. Like, when can they sail again? The Centers for Disease Control slapped the no-sale order on the industry in March because too many cruise ships had turned into COVID incubators. That no-sale order was set to expire in late September, but then CDC reportedly wanted to extend it through till February of next year because the pandemic's still going strong. We're currently being swamped by the third wave of infections now. But the pitiful, helpless CDC was overruled by the all-powerful White House. So the current no-sale order expires on October 31st, less than 3 weeks away. Early last week, though, Norwegian and Royal Caribbean both announced they were canceling the cruises through the end of November instead. Carnival had already canceled nearly all of its U.S. cruises through the end of the year, except for the ones sailing out of southern Florida. They wanted to get these going again in November, but just yesterday, Carnival canceled its November cruises. None of these companies wants to reopen because, before it's safe, because a shipboard outbreak would be very bad for business. Plus, killing your own customers frowned upon in the hospitality industry. Kidneys. So, at the very earliest, domestic cruises won't be back until December. I know the president wants them now. I mean, I know. He's like, I'm sure he would. Do you think he takes, what is it, when he goes, does he go on Carnival? Does he do it? Which does he go? So I'm asking my executive producer, Regina. Does the president, does he use Carnival or does he go on Royal Caribbean? Or he's a Norwegian man. He's a Norwegian cruise. President's Norwegian cruise. I just learned that, okay? And he, they're ready in December. If we're still in the middle of a bad outbreak, I'd expect them to postpone again, regardless of what the government says, or if they want to ride with the Royal Caribbean. The rest of the world is a very different story, though. See, cruises actually resumed as early as July in some European countries that did a really good job of containing the virus. Did you know they're going? So far, it's been terrific, thanks to rigorous health and safety regulations. They can do it there. How do they ensure these ships are safe? Well, they do constant testing, constant cleaning, new air filters, mandatory social distancing, and protocols to quarantine anyone whose tests come back positive. Royal Caribbean and Norwegian teamed up on a healthy sail panel. They brought in a bunch of experts to figure out the safest way to do this. Carnival's off on its own, but they're doing similar stuff. Remember I told you these are incredibly well-run companies with great CEOs. With that in mind, how are the individual cruise lines holding up now that Royal's kind of wrecked the mojo? Well, let's start with Royal, given that they just raised $1 billion. Well, they're raising that billions of dollars worth of fundraising. $1 billion. Even before today, they had already borrowed $8.4 billion since the pandemic shut down the industry. Based on today's SEC filings, we know the company's burning through $250 million to $290 million per month during the prolonged suspension of operations. And that's after some major cost cuts. So today they bought themselves 4 more months. On the plus side, Royal Caribbean's bookings for next year look pretty good. And only about half of the people on canceled cruises are requesting refunds. The rest reschedule. And by the way, you can get some incredible bargains. I don't know if you looked at it. The person who runs my life, Dylan Reebok, he's checking him out constantly. Well, Lisa, and then Dylan Reebok. Just so we know, it's my executive producer. She's the one who told us, she filled us in that the president takes where? He's a Norwegian cruise. And then Dylan Reebok, who runs my life, tells me that the prices from next year are so great that you actually want to book them in case they get a vaccine. I'm not kidding. I looked at him and I said, I want to go on the Haven part of Norwegian cruise. I don't know if Dylan Reebok has booked me on that yet, but that's where Trump goes. Now, I'm not sure that Trump's actually on these. He was been cited, but it might not have been him. How about Carnival? All right. The company reported last week, and they told us that they're burning, roughly $770 million in cash per month. Easy come, easy go. But management's been aggressive about raising cash. So far, they've borrowed about $12 billion, along with issuing more than $1.2 billion worth of stock. Plus, they're in the process of selling 18 ships. Carnival actually ended the third quarter with $1.3 billion more than they had at the end of the second quarter. See, I told you, these guys are really good. They should have gone out of business. I don't even know how they stayed in business. As for Carnival's booking for 2021, they've already booked half the rooms available for sale. Again, the prices are incredible, which is at the high end of their historical range. Pricing is only down by mid-single digits versus 2019. About 55% of their customers on canceled cruises are asking for refunds. Finally, there is Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. When these guys reported in August, we learned that they were burning roughly $160 million per month. Since COVID hit, Norwegian's raised roughly $6.8 billion via a mix of stock and bond offerings, mostly bonds. At the end of June, they had $2.3 billion in cash and equivalents. Norwegian was very honest on the latest conference call. They said they don't expect their fleet to return in earnest until the second quarter of next year. Remember, these guys, Frank Del Rio, he's fantastic. According to management, bookings for 2021 are very much within historical ranges. That's that haven that I want to go on. Now, if you put a gun to my head about this and told me to choose among the three cruise lines, the first thing I'd do is, please, I beg you to take away the gun. I mean, what did you take the gun to my head for? Anyway, it's too soon to buy them. And those of you young people who come in, I was looking at the tape this morning at 3:30, and they were in there doing this again. They're in there buying before they even got gobsmacked by the Royal Caribbean deal. But if you insist on speculating on the cruise stocks, Carnival has the best exposure to the rest of the world. It's already sailing again. Royal Caribbean's slowly coming back to life, too. Norwegian has the least going overseas. Based on what we've heard so far, I think Royal Caribbean's seeing the best bookings for 2021, followed by Carnival, and Royal Caribbean's tied with Norwegian on pricing. Put it all together, and I think Royal Caribbean's the best of the bunch, especially because, today's capital raise, that was brilliant. Norwegian close second. They've had a ruthless approach to cutting costs. I like the precise approach to reopening, although they've also got the longest without a capital raise, but they've got so much money. You might see one of them. They could hammer the stock, though, if these younger people keep buying the stocks without even knowing what the hell they're doing. As for Carnival, they're burning way too much cash for me to feel comfortable. But look, the bottom line is that it's still too soon to speculate in the cruise stocks. Their domestic ships won't start sailing again until December at the earliest. And I think there's a good chance that gets postponed again. If you really want cruise exposure, I say be patient, because days like today make me think you'll get better buying opportunities. And remember, young investors, the cruise lines aren't like a lot of other stocks you play with. They need money, and they're happy to take yours in the form of buying tickets or buying shares. And just so you know, Dylan and I, we're thinking this Haven line to Alaska to watch the calving. And if you've never seen calving, you've never seen Jack.
It's icebergs.
No, they call them calving.
I know.
All right, Matt, can we cut this in pasting, whatever we do? Matt in Florida, Matt.
Jim, the stock that I've been sitting on is GlaxoSmithKline. I've had it for about a year. Obviously, they have a juicy dividend, but unfortunately, the stock's barely done anything. So I'm wondering, is it worth sticking in with GSK or cutting bait for AbbVie?
You cut bait for AbbVie, and you do that tomorrow morning. AbbVie's got a better dividend. Soon they're going to be able to open hospitals and doctors' offices, and people are going to go get Botox, and the skin's going to look better. It's self-fulfilling philosophy. Really? That's done? All right. Anyway, a little joking around, because we love talking about these stocks. But younger people, you see what happens when you get too aggressive. The management see you. They know you don't know what you're doing, so they just hit you over the head with a 2x4. So get a little better. Norwegian, you can join me and Dylan when we go and take the Haven line to calving. But we also are very interested in what they have in the Caribbean. And then Carnival, we're holding off on. And the president is very, very inclined to let these guys go whenever they want. So I think what he ought to do is take the inaugural trip with me and Dylan on the Haven line going to Alaska, which means we're staying in America and we're doing it the American way. All right? Welcome aboard. There's much more Mad Money ahead, including my exclusive with a company up over 350% year to date that you first brought to my attention. Don't miss my sit down with Celsius. Then we're going to beat COVID. Just maybe not in the way we originally thought. I'm going to explain. And all your calls rapid fire in tonight's edition of the Lightning Round. So stick with the people who know how to cruise and stick with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @JimCramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.